Welcome to DT&Y show. This is a Proof in the Play production. I'm T. I had 3 questions for my interviewer. Interviewer, say your name.
Hi, I'm David.
He's part of the DT&Y show. DT&Y everything. I had 3 questions for you, good sir, and I'll let you get on out of here because I know your wife is waiting. One was I wanted to know your thoughts on Black Lives Matter and if the Black Lives Matter movement affects you in any way.
One at a time? Answer that way? Okay, cool. So, I think how I'm going to answer the question is hopefully, I'll try to provide context. So, Black Lives Matter, like hashtag, and what that means from a social standpoint, in relation to what's happening. So, that question is very loaded because I think there's so much to answer about it. For me, there's a part where it feels disconnected, which has probably been a moment and problem for Black people all the time. We're very disconnected. So it's like it doesn't affect me, even though it does. It affects me greatly, right? Because in my worldview, and it totally affects where we're at. I don't know how to really explain it, how it doesn't affect me. But I guess it'll just be better to say that now, living in that world, I find myself having to speak on these issues. And, I take it as it's like, there's a lot of, I don't even say, because there's a lot of anger for being Black that's really, we've all dealt with. And so, yeah, man, for real, Black Lives Matter, like we get dogged all the time. We get dogged all the time for just being awesome. And so the movement itself doesn't do anything to me in the sense of it just being a new movement, because Black lives have always mattered. And, unfortunately, we have to be reminded of that when we get killed. And that's where I think I struggle with, because I've always known Black Lives Matter, or want them to matter. I just want other Black people to know it.
Yeah, so that's a great answer to my question. My second question is that in this recent summer, and I think that we've both been part of the 2 massacres, I guess. I wouldn't say massacres, but massive murders in Seattle. The last summer, it was bad. We was playing Monopoly when my cousin got shot. And now it has gotten just as worse. And I wanted to know from you, how does that affect you, being a Black man, seeing young Black men die on a consistent basis?
And this is the part where I can do better. Because I think there's a part where, all the crazy stuff that happens in this world right now, you kind of get numb to it, where you see it so much that you just basically can't even process it anymore. And so you just become numb and accept it as a reality that is just like you having to use tissue paper. And so because it's at that level, you become so numb on it. And it sucks until obviously it happens, super close to home, where it's people we know. And so there are real people hurting from all these things, and real pain that is real present and on the surface right now. For someone, as I speak, someone is going through that. And so there's a part there that, I try to be aware of those things in my day-to-day life, because it's really hard to process, like, what do you do with all this pain in this world? Do you help every individual? How do you do that? Do I you know? And I think sometimes we just try to, like, shut off and use, you know, vehicles like charities and stuff to help us with stuff, because otherwise it's just too difficult. So you know, in relation to like Seattle and the town and young black men, like I'm really saddened, and the part where I need to do better at is, you know, being able to speak to them. You know, a lot of times these young black men, you know, just they've gotten so hard-headed where it's not even hard-headed, man. I just think they're so, unless you meet them in like churches or places, if you just meet a young black brother on the street, chances are he's not going to even try to listen to you about anything. And gonna have, especially if you're a man trying to talk to him about anything, you say, "Hey, young brother, how you doing?" I'm not saying there's none, you know, but it just becomes this thing where you get numb, and it's like you don't have to learn. And it's unfortunate that they learn by dying. And I'm not saying there's not ways to help them, but I guess the question is, how do I see it if I encounter these young black people in the street, and not always writing them off myself? Because they're all not criminals. They're not all just like, "I hoodie's wrong." And so I do, you know, interact with them. And the ones I'm fortunate what to, you know, I'll talk to. But I think there's a special. Anyways, that's the answer to that.
Okay. So, last questions before you get out of here. D, I know that you're a married man, and it's still things that we all are. Hey, man, I'm trying to interview here. Lamar.
What?
I'm trying to interview.
You could have told him that off camera.
I get the wood to go knock on the door. This guy's crazy. Anyway, since you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage and stuff, what is the difficulties in a marriage? Like, what is one of your biggest things you're having to overcome in a marriage?
Wow. That is a man. Me personally, the greatest thing I'm having to overcome in marriage, and this is me, so I think this question and how I'm going to explain it is loaded, because it's going to assume a lot of things, but basically that, you know, really dealing with when your image is shattered. What do you do? And what is something you're willing to even work for, and why? And like, why do you hold things together? And just that plays into so much other stuff, but you know, because it every day you have to live in this reality that no longer is a reality that you thought it was, and so you're not really prepared. And then when it's matters of the heart, you instantly have to make decisions. If you're gonna submit and die to someone, even if they don't get it and won't, and you are patient, and how long will you suffer for things outside of just quote-unquote love, and if that's worth it to you? And it's finding out if it is, and what you're willing to sacrifice and die to. So
now, do you have any last remarks before this interview? These are interviews of people, just people that I encounter, and I have these 3 questions I want to ask, just to hear everybody's views on certain things. So that's why I asked you that.
Yeah. Right now, I know I'll probably get another one, so hopefully I'll be a little bit more prepared. But I gotta go and go get a thin crust pizza from Domino's. Even though a nigga went grocery shopping like on Tuesday, people want pizza. So that's a first world problem. I hope our first world problems don't bite us in the butt soon. That's what I'll end with, is I definitely think the world's in a really chaotic state and place right now. Outside of a lot of black movement, I really think there's a lot of stuff going on where crap's gonna hit the fan. And I don't know what that all looks like. I'm not trying to be super fearful, but it's just, it can't coexist as much longer without someone trying to drop a nuke on somebody.